Ladies and gentlemen, we are told by Gun Free South Africa that the private citizen of the state who owns legal firearms are the number one purveyor of firearms in society. Gun Free South Africa says that our firearms get stolen by the criminals and are therefore used in crimes. But the reality of the situation is this is untrue. It is yet another lie peddled by some foreign funded NGO in this country which seeks to disarm us. Everybody with a brain cell knows that it is SAPS that's the number one supplier of firearms in this country, and we've covered it on this channel many times. Ramon, you've seen the latest article on this. What do you think?
Yeah, latest breaking news. A ex-Hawks officer has been sentenced to 15 years for stealing firearms from police stations across northern KZN. And interestingly, all he did, here's a crime, Byron, here's a crime. I think it's magic, this crime. Like, I've never seen it before. He went to several police stations in northern KwaZulu-Natal and he took the guns and he said, no, I'm taking them for ballistic testing. And then he just never returned them. Some might say that's a bit strange, but what is stranger is that he started in 1997 and no one caught on until like 2021 that he was actually doing this. Another interesting thing is they arrested the white guy who did it.
Yeah, and he's not the only one involved. Oh, well.
Yeah, interesting. So I think this is why it's a news story, because it's the white guy they caught. Hey, you see, whites commit crime. Like, yes, no one says otherwise, but it's still interesting that he's white. So basically what they say is he was arrested in 2018, then released on a warning, because apparently you get warnings for stealing firearms. But then he was later convicted in June 2022 because he absconded before he could be sentenced. So yet again, ladies and gentlemen, another, should I say, I wanted to use a gun analogy, but it's evading me at the moment. But yes, basically, Gun Free SA is a lying piece of nonsense organization. I'm trying not to swear because we want to be monetized. And they are lying because SAPS is the ones who lose their guns or sell them. And they sell them to gangsters, they sell them to criminals, they sell them to taxi bosses. And those guns are used to murder people. It's Colonel Prinsloo all over again.
Absolutely. And there was actually a book written on this, which is entitled Give Us More Guns. And there was a study done in 2020, around the times when they first tabled before Parliament the amendments to the Firearms Control Act, which was much, should we say, disgusted. I was pretty disgusted at it. I pretty much wanted to slap a devil myself. When it said things like, let's take away Section 13, the right to have self-defense of the firearm, in a country that is full of illegal firearms. Now, her argument, which is a George Soros-funded argument, this is a foreign-funded organization, and we've done that, we've covered that in videos before. But the interesting part about her supposed claims is that apparently us private citizens are the ones who are losing our guns. But the study done in 2020 showed that the guns that were out there in circulation came from three places. The first was the police, the second was the army, and the third was what they called historical struggle firearms, which were the guns donated to the ANC by the Russians in order to fight against the regime. That's why a lot of the weapons of choice for a lot of these kind of crimes are AK-47s, which is obviously the weapon donated by the Russians. Those weapons, the ANC do admit even today, they don't know where they are. There's large caches of weapons that are just missing. And if they're not even missing in South Africa, well, they just import them from Mozambique and they just cross the border. So there's no shortage of illegal firearms. And they're certainly not from us.
Yeah, a good thing to do sometimes is when there's a cash and control heist and the group gets busted and they say, look, we recovered, 20 weapons. Look at the weapons. 80% of the time, it's an R4, which is an army firearm. It's an AK-47, which is a struggle firearm, or it's a Z88 pistol, which was the previous SAPS service firearm. You never see a Glock. You never see a Sig Sauer. You never see a Smith & Wesson. You never see an AR-15 made by any manufacturer of repute. It's always the same type of guns used by the same type of people to perpetuate the same type of crime. Like
always.
Yeah, no one has ever taken a CZ Shadow 2 and attempted to do a cash and trouser heist with it because they just don't have it. Why? Because it's not police or military or historical firearm. And he's
100%.
that.
And I look at the SAPS pictures all the time, and I don't see pictures of parabellums on there either. And it's like, why? Because it would be like a John Wick clone, and you'd have to be somebody who really had to be a real gun enthusiast to have those. So if those gun enthusiasts were having their firearms stolen, as Gun Free South Africa claims, well, we'd be seeing those guns all over the show. We don't. So the other thing we also don't see, and I'm very glad you pointed it out, is the AR-15. So many people have AR-15s in their household. It is the go-to gun for gun enthusiasts. But we don't see AR-15s or even 223 ammo being used in any form of crime in the country. We always see R4s, we always see AK-47s, and we always see police service pistols. And we have numerous shows where sometimes the police even sell their service pistols for streetwise too. And I wish there was a joke, but they actually do it. So the number of illegal firearms out there to claim that they all come from the private citizen of the state, I'd call it farcical, but I think it's just a lie. It's just a blatant lie. And I think it's a lie they know.
No, it's a complete and utter lie. It's a complete and utter lie. Repeated over and over again, it becomes a truth, I'm afraid to say. But thankfully, the truth is right here in front of you. This is the truth, where ex-Hawks officers are actually finally jailed and arrested for stealing police guns.
Gun trafficking.
Gun trafficking. They don't tell us what he did with them, but one can assume he sold them for a little bit of cash.
Probably went to the Cape Flats.
In KZN, no, he probably gave it to taxi drivers. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, but some of them probably made their way down there. I mean, I doubt this was just a couple of firearms here and there. Huh? I mean, you can imagine. Let's all just be very clear with ourselves what type of guns we're talking about that are going for ballistics. These are probably firearms that were on the old green licenses. They all wanted to renew them underneath the new firearms legislation in order to get a white license. And the reality is, before they could get renewed, they had to go for ballistics testing. So this is actually the type of firearms we're talking about. These are lawful firearms that have been taken off lawful owners for ballistics testing in order to be able to do renewals. These aren't people who just had it in their house and it was stolen out their house by a guy who broke in. Yeah. These were people who were made by people like Gun Free South Africa to turn their firearms over for the purposes of relicensing them or renewing a license. So it's very interesting to see how these claims are made, and they're there basically for the detriment of us as private citizens of the state, but they're all based on lies. So it's a false narrative.
Yeah, no, it really is. It truly, truly is. And and we're tired of Gun Free SA in their lives, to be honest with you. And that's really
absolutely
all you need to know about this particular story. Thank you for watching, everyone. It's a Monday, so crash this week. And we'll see you later tonight and tomorrow night and Wednesday morning. And, you can make up the rest.
And by the end of the week, we hope to have with you a interview with Pastor Doug Wilson. And if you don't know who he is, check him out on Canon Press. Quite looking forward to that one. So, and if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, become a member of the channel, all the usual good stuff. And see you soon.
Yep. See you soon. Cheers.